Hello, and welcome to our WUFT discussion on careers in communication. I'm Maya Hutchins, an associate professor at the University of Florida College of Journalism and Communications, as well as the chair for the Department of Public Relations. Today we're joined by communication directors of Florida Congressional Representatives. We have Taylor Hulsey, communication director for Representative Buchanan, Jay Roden, communication director for Representative Castor, Corey Noble, communication director for Representative Franklin, Grace Bartolinsky, communication director for Representative Lee, and Belen Sassone, communication director for Representative Soto. Thank you all for visiting us, and welcome.
Thanks for having us.
There we go. So to start off, as communication directors for members of Congress, can you help our audience understand what that means and how you spend your time?
I can go first. Okay, so being a communications director looks different in every single office. So I'll talk a little bit about my office specifically. Any sort of interview request that comes in for the congressman, I handle it. I make sure that it's something that he would want to do before bringing it up to him. If, depending on what the interview is about, I'll prepare talking points for him. I'll make sure that he knows exactly what he has to talk about and that we do preparation beforehand. I also run all his social media accounts, so X, Facebook, Instagram. We don't have TikTok or anything like that, but if we ever were to have it, I would be the person that ran it. We have a weekly newsletter that I put together. I have a press assistant that helps us in the district with his events and pretty much anything that he does at all. She'll be there to take pictures, and I'll just make sure that they're good. And then just really anything else that the congressman does on a public level would go through me, his communications director. That's a little bit. I don't know if anyone else wants to talk about it.
Yeah, I'll hop in there. So essentially my role is basically built out as a jack of all trades, master of none or some. So essentially, like she had mentioned, any interview request that comes in, so it's working with CNN, Fox News, Bloomberg, Reuters, AP, even local stations, getting him on camera, working through Skype, getting him into a studio. Just that aspect of scheduling is one aspect. All social media goes through me. So like X, Instagram, Facebook, the monetary version of that as well. So running ads and trying to get more message across through a financial point. We have a newsletter and we run polls in our district as well. So we have a 30-30-30 all subscribers. So 30% Republican, 30% identify as liberal, and 30% identify as nonpartisan. So we try to figure out where, and actually these polls kind of go off national polls as well. So we like to really gauge where our constituents are weighing in on certain, political discussions. And, there's a lot of that going on right now.
I can hear that.
I'll jump in a little too. So they all talked about the social media aspect and the newsletter and whatnot, but we also, I don't know about the rest of you, but we do a frank mail program. So that's like the tangible letters that you get in the mail, whether it be a physical letter or you see those like half sheet postcards. We do those weekly. We do about 5,000 targeted to constituents on different policy that's going on within the week, or mobile office hours, or just anything like that. And then we also do mass mailers as well that go about 50,000 people or more a couple times a quarter. And then we also do telephone town halls and you said ads, but yeah.
So I think that they brought up very good specific examples of what we do day to day as communications directors, but to kind of just zoom out and give a 30,000-foot view. As a communications director, you kind of run the communications shop. Sometimes that's two people. We have three in my office, but you're essentially the chief spokesperson for the office, but also you are the chief advisor. You work in tandem with the chief, advisor, the chief of staff to the member of Congress or the senator, to advise the member on strategic communications and how to move forward in the political climate, how to move forward in the legislative climate, wherever you're serving, and you're sort of a strategic voice, always involved in every aspect of the operations of the office. But you are also in most cases, I won't speak for everyone, most cases besides the chief of staff and the member, the only one authorized to speak with the media, and so that gives us a very healthy distrust, but also love for our journalist friends. But it is I'll give credence to the idea, jack of all trades, master of none. We get to be policy generalists. We don't have to have a specific area that we focus on, but we have to be educated and communicate. Our at the end of the day, our real big mandate is to communicate effectively our boss's agenda, what they want to see get done, and make sure. I think part of our job also is public information officers. It's not the same. We obviously don't have a mandate to be completely impartial. We can be persuasive. We try to be and to explain the agenda, but our job is to interface everything public facing for our office.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of what he was saying, taking like the broader look of it, our policy people are writing very wonky policy laws, legislation, and so it's our job to work with our policy team to make sure that we understand what they're trying to get passed, and then to put that into terms that people will understand. And a lot of strategy comes into that, whether the message is going out to our constituents, whether it's going to groups that we work with, and other supporters. So it's a very complicated, lots of moving parts happening, lots of relationships that you have to build and foster to do the job well.
No, absolutely. So sort of related to that, it's never been so easy to communicate directly with constituents as it is now. Could you tell us a little bit about that part of your job? How is social media really playing into your role a little bit more than you have already, if you can?
Sure. I think social media gives my boss ability to get real-time reaction to constituents and to the public and folks at home, whether that's, now you see members of Congress and with a lot more transparency now, but that you'll see them, posted up outside of, the House floor with a camera in front of their face, their phone, just getting the message back out to folks. But it's not just social media. I think with the proliferation of email communications as well over the last 20 years, most of us have large email programs, digital programs that are able to get directly to sometimes 90 to 100,000 folks at a time, which in most communities is double sometimes of the distribution of the local paper. So
yeah, and my favorite part about social media, though I'm not a fan of social media on a personal level, is I do very much enjoy that we get to craft the message that is going directly to the constituent, whereas with traditional media, you're sitting down for an interview, but it can, end up getting cut in different ways. So I like the social media aspect of being able to have control and have like a really nice tailored message that we can share with folks.
So something that's a really nice follow-up to that then is, what do you believe is the most challenging part of today's media and social media environment?
I need to think about this one for a second. I'd say the most challenging and most difficult part of my job is trying to actually get across a message and really get across this political divide and partisan debate where some people are so focused on what they read on what they watch in the news, and they're not open to hearing another idea of what could potentially be helping their lives. So social media is a really good way of where you can film a video. There are a lot of times my boss is going up to a very, very very, very big vote that is very politically charged in my district, and I can get a real-time reaction 5 minutes before he is actually hitting that button and saying, this is why I'm going to vote for this, and getting that out faster than he can even get to the actual voting machine is so important in my opinion, because voters can then call our office and say, hey, why did he vote this way? I'm like, well, I can direct you to our social media where he just put out a 3-minute video explaining why he is wanting to do this. And that's why I think that's the most challenging part of my job, is getting that point across to our constituents.
Yeah, breaking through the noise is very difficult. And I would say it's probably one of the most time-consuming parts of my job is trying to sit down and think through the best strategy to effectively communicate to people, to break through on some issues that can be very politically tense. But yeah, it's essential. There's a lot of good work that is still going on despite all of the chaos. And so I think it's very important that we work hard to show that there is some function going on, though it's obviously not ideal at the moment.
There's also a big misconception in Congress that we're not actually ever working. And when you turn on the news and you watch whatever preferred news station you're seeing, there's the big topic of the day, right? Or topic of the week or the topic of the month. And they think that is the only thing that we're actually focused on. One nice thing is all of our bosses are on different committees. Well, different jurisdictions of what we're handling, right? So my boss handles healthcare and tax and trade, and being able to, get that message across is a little bit more difficult when there's something going on like a TikTok bill or, China or Taiwan or something else in that nature.
I don't know how to say what I want to say. I just feel like, so.
I just want to say it out loud first.
Right. So I feel like I agree with what you're saying, because a lot of the times people are like, what are you doing? You're doing nothing. So on our social media, we treat it like a diary. So it's like every single thing that the congressman does, we'll put it on social media. But what I was thinking of is more of like a voter. I feel like the negative side of social media, especially with politicians, is a lot of the time like it's all on social media. So you think they're doing something, but they're just trying to go viral. So I think it's important that if you have a large social media following and you have these big thoughts and big ideas and big policy ideas, to actually see the member go through with it. I think that's cool, because a lot of the times I see these threads on social media that are like, I believe in climate change, pass it on. And then all the members just retweet it. And it's like, okay, but what are you actually doing about it? And I see that on both sides. That's like I can call out my own party and the other party on it, that a lot of the times it's just, we just want to get a million retweets, but we're not really solving anything.
So politics is often a very partisan business, right? How do you balance the partisan media that your bosses might be doing with the more nonpartisan, local, or industry trade publications that you might want to use?
Tough question.
I don't know.
I mean, so in my previous role, I worked for a congresswoman from Michigan, Debbie Dingell, who was very pro any time Fox News requested Maria Bartiromo reaching out, who, is on a very opposite side of the political spectrum than her. But she was adamant that we will always do those requests, because you are reaching, a group that you're not going to reach if you are just only doing MSNBC or the likes. And so, I do believe that there's a healthy balance there, and it's kind of something that I have to think about, situationally. And if it's going to be something that is beneficial, productive for my boss, our office's goals, how is this advancing those things? And are we really reaching people that are going to be receptive to the message that you're sharing? So, yeah.
Sorry. I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier about, a press office versus a communications office. I mean, we're kind of both, but we have a responsibility at some level to be sharing what an elected representative is up to and what they're doing on behalf of their constituents. And so for me and for our office, it looks like a little bit more of a robust mail program, just to connect people. I mean, we often, it doesn't have to be surveys, or phone surveys, but it can be an email, or we elicit responses in the mailbox as well, asking folks to tell us the things that they care about, so that we make sure that we're connecting folks at home with the messages that they care about or passionate about. Teachers are learning what we're up to on education, students, etc. So I think that plays a part in it.
There we go. So, switching topics, artificial intelligence. So what role does artificial intelligence play in your work? Have you used AI in some of your communications?
It doesn't. We're not allowed to use it.
Oh, at all?
Excuse me. I don't know if anyone else wants to speak more on this.
I believe it's being currently reviewed as a tool that could be made available to House staff, but currently it is not, and I personally don't have a desire to have AI write things.
So do you use it as like a brainstorming tool or anything like that? Or it's like you are AI free?
Yeah, we're not allowed to have ChatGPT. My boss is on the House Administration Committee, so we oversee Congress, and they're currently looking into this. But I know the Library of Congress uses it a little, but they're just trying to navigate how exactly we can use it and what are the advantages and disadvantages.
So I think this is really interesting. So there might not be a group of folks in the professional workforce more adverse to AI than journalists and communications folks. We take a lot of pride in the work that we do and making sure it's authentic. And I think there are a lot of questions about these inputs that are informing generative AI and whether what's getting spit out and whether I can trust that information or call that an original idea, etc. So I think those are big questions that we navigate. The House of Representatives, at least, does not allow us to include generative AI into our daily workflow, but they are looking at offices can get a subscription to a specific open AI product, but we can't use it in day-to-day operations.
I will say, if we do get that, then our jobs are basically not important anymore. Like, AI can just do our job.
Oh, disagree. But
I don't know, because you just type in, say, write a press release, and it does it.
But if you trust that press release, my PR department chair is like, so.
I think particularly when you're writing for like an individual too, it can be easier for people to read that and say, that doesn't exactly sound like them. Though I know that they're perfecting it even more. But on another note, I have been trying to keep up to date with what is going on within the realm of AI, because it touches so many different areas, and thinking of, if and when we do get approval to use it, what that would look like. I wouldn't be opposed as to using it for, gathering certain information for my own consumption to then use to communicate to our constituents and outside folks. But as far as the generative AI goes and writing things up, that is a no-go for me, personally.
So, if you had advice for graduating students who wanted to work in political communications, What's your best advice for them? What is it?
I would say you need to know how to write. Today is going towards social media, like more and more we're going towards video clips, TikToks, like fast, like how you get your knowledge quickly. But to write is what we're looking for. So when I'm hiring, I need to see their writing samples. I need to know if they can do something in 10 minutes, because the news is always 24 hours. It's breaking. So if something happens right now, I need to be able to put something out in the next 5 to 10 minutes. It needs to be perfect. It needs to not have any grammatical errors, etc. So yeah, just being able to write and just being very time conscious and being able to multitask.
Yeah, so on a technical side, I would agree with you. I would say attention to detail is the number one thing that I look for when I'm hiring anyone. But then just in terms of advice, mine would also be a little more emotional, like work-life balance and mental health are super important. When you enter political communications, you sometimes feel like you can solve everything. I have managed to kind of calm myself down from that by using a little grain of sand theory. So I'm like, okay, today, what was my little grain of sand? What was my contribution to the district, to the people of the United States? Like in general, why am I doing this? You know, we are faced with really big issues in Congress. And a lot of the times as the communications directors, we feel like we want to be the voice for our member, but they're the member. So we just have to kind of facilitate communicating for them and guide them in the right direction. But just know, you know, focus on yourself. Just always make sure to keep your head right, because otherwise you won't be able to communicate or help anyone.
And explore it first too if you want to come and get an internship. We've discussed that quite a bit today, so you know, if you're interested in political communications, let us know. And I believe there's a program offered through UF too that could be very helpful. So I think that's a good way first to see if it's the right fit for you, to get a taste of it. And yeah.
I'd say knowing how to write is probably one of the most important things, but the second most important is your eagerness to want to meet and talk to people. I spend over half my job just talking to people, talking to reporters on the record, on background, off the record, talking to other communicators. You're constantly talking to people, and if you're introverted, there's nothing wrong with that, but it might be the wrong profession for you. There are days where you might not want to talk to anybody and you have to talk to 35, 40 people a day. But yeah.
As an introverted person, I will say myself, there are ways to work around that. So if you are introverted and interested in comms, think through some of the techniques to calm yourself and push yourself out there. If you really want it, you'll do it.
Okay, I'm gonna go talk to someone today. Let's do it.
I also, to piggyback on your point, work-life balance is so important, especially in a profession where the news doesn't ever end. That's one thing I've really connected with reporters specifically on, is print or digital. Everyone's working 24/7, and I'm checking Twitter, Facebook, Instagram the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed. And for better or worse, being able to learn how to turn your phone off sometimes is important. So boundaries are important, but at the same time, you have to understand that there are times where you will work weekends, and you have to love doing it.
I think just something that folks who want to go far in political communications obviously need to learn how to write, or be gifted in that. But you also need to be able to put yourself in the shoes or in the mind of broad, sex or different, populations and the larger populace, and understand, where different folks come from and how they feel about things and how they approach different sides of a policy argument. I think that is very helpful when we learn audiences and who we're speaking to and whether something's effective or not, because if it's not effective, then you're wasting everybody's time, especially yours. But I think also is to remember political communications is not just Capitol Hill press. There are really important functions on the political side of things, campaign side, and I would just encourage folks to get educated, to talk to folks. That there's as a UF alum and a Gator grad, there is a massive Gator grad universe on Capitol Hill. I would encourage everyone to reach out to them and to just talk to them about their background and learn the different different jobs that are available outside of just being a communications director on Capitol Hill. Campaign management, campaign communications, those are all slightly different but related fields.
Well, thank you all for your insight in this evolving field, and thank you all to our viewers.
Thank you so much.